Hello, I'm Raider Pilot Steve, and this is my review of the Duxford Battle of Britain Airshow 2025, which was held at the Imperial War Museum at Duxford. Funnily enough, the main theme of this show was the 85th anniversary of the Battle of Britain, and showcased a large number of warbirds from this era, especially Spitfires and Hurricanes. I attended on the Saturday, where the weather was sunny, but with a strong crosswind, which did see some participants cancel. I was also unable to see RAF Station Czechoslovakia's Avro Anton Mark I make its UK debut, as it only appeared on the Sunday. Maybe next year. One of the main hangars was opened up and contained some interesting vintage types, including a Boeing Stearman PT-17 Cadet, which was used in the filming of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. There was also the aircraft restoration company's de Havilland Canada DHC-2 Beaver AL-1, which doubled up as a clothing hangar for the Aerial Collective. Finally, Thomas Harris's Grumman FM2 Wildcat was on display after being repaired since its landing accident in 2024. This aircraft is marked up in Royal Navy Fleet Air Arm Desert Camouflage, the first preserved Wildcat to do so. I hope to see it flying in the future, as it has yet to make its UK airshow debut in the air. There was also a small selection of aircraft parked up throughout the showground, including a Westland Gazelle AH-1 from the British Army, which was brought in by road, which was open to visitors to sit in. An Aeroncar 058B Grasshopper, which was used by the United States Army Air Force during the Second World War. Paul Ford's strikingly schemed Fokker D7 replica. The Fighter Collection's Gloucester Gladiator Mark II, which was parked up outside the collection's hangar. And finally was the Fighter Collection's Hawker Nimrod 1, which was parked up in the Gold Experience enclosure. There was also aircraft on the main flight line that were viewable, including Peter Kuiper's Beechcraft D-17S Staggerwing and a Scottish Aviation Bulldog T-1, which was being used as a support aircraft for the Navy Wing's Heritage Flight. Some of the aircraft that had to cancel their display slots were reduced to static display, such as the Historic Aircraft Collection's Airco DH-9, Paul Ford's Fokker DR-1 replica, the Fighter Collection's Grumman FM2 Wildcat, and the Aircraft Restoration Company's Westland Lysander Mark III. The Warbird display team's Yakovlev Yak-3 UPW replica was unable to perform due to some technical issues. The show was opened by the Duxford debut of Marcin Kubrak's Douglas A-26C Invader Sweet Eloise II, which put on a very impressive display. This particular A-26 was built in 1945 and would serve the United States Air Force during the Korean War, where it would fly 1,900 combat hours in a 2-year period. It also served as a firebombing aircraft for various organisations, where it accrued nearly 2,000 flight hours performing firefighting duties. Next was not just a highlight of the show, but of the whole 2025 season. This was the formation of 8 Hawker Hurricanes, the largest gathering of this type since the Second World War, and beating the previous record of 7, which was held at the Shuttleworth Military Airshow 2019. This unique spectacle featured 4 Mark Is from Hurricane Heritage, Bygone Aviation Limited, Fighter Aviation Engineering Limited, and Hurricane 501, a Mark IIA from the Letek Museum Tokna, a Mark IIB from Hurricane Heritage, a Mark 10 from Biggin Hill Heritage Hangar, and a Mark 12A from the Historic Aircraft Collection. The 8 aircraft formed a series of formation passes, which looked and sounded incredible before descending into an entertaining tail chase. Of the 4 Hurricane Mark Is, 3 of them flew during the Battle of Britain, and the other flew during the Battle of France. Sticking to the show theme, we moved on to a Battle of Britain dogfight, which began with an airfield attack by the Aircraft Restoration Company's Hispano-Buchon, which masqueraded as a German Messerschmitt Bf-109 G2. Scrambling to intercept the aerial intruder, was a trio of Supermarine Spitfire Mark 1As from the Imperial War Museum and Comanche Fighters LLC. The Spitfires chased the Bouchon through the sky until they were able to shoot down the enemy, which was represented by the Bouchon smoke generator. The segment was concluded by an entertaining tail chase. We touched on training for a brief moment with a de Havilland Canada Chipmunk T10 and David Bramwell's Miles M14A Magister 1. The pair gave a single formation flypast before landing as the wind was a little too rough for them to continue. Making its Duxford debut was the Warbird display team CAC CA13 Boomerang replica, which was flown by Remco Sibben, who put this aircraft through a very energetic routine, which was further enhanced with an attached smoke generator. Up next was a series of displays by various warbirds that are based here at Duxford, starting with the Fighter Collection's Curtiss P-40F Kitty Hawk Mark II Lee's Hope and Curtiss Hawk 75A1. The pair flew in formation for a single pass before performing their own solo displays. This was followed by the Aircraft Restoration Company's Bristol Blenheim Mark 1F, which put on a very nice performance. This is the world's only airworthy example of a Blenheim, and it is painted in night fighter colours of a No. 23 Squadron aircraft. Duxford's resident Boeing B-17G Flying Fortress Sally B from B-17 Preservation then took to the air for her display. This year marked 50 years of this iconic American bomber being in the UK, as well as her 80 years since her first flight. This was one of her last displays of the 2025 Airshow season. Fighter Aviation Engineering Limited closed out this Duxford Resident series with a pair of powerful piston warbirds. This was the Hawker Fury FB-11 and the Republic P-47D Thunderbolt Nellie B, which performed consecutive solo displays. Changing pace next was the UK Airshow debut of the Belgian Air Components NH Industries NH90 NFH, which gave an excellent account of its manoeuvrability as well as a short search and rescue demonstration. This helicopter is part of the 40th Heli Squadron under First Wing and is based at Coxade Air Base. We then moved back to Warbirds with a trio of the most iconic American fighter, the Mustang. This featured CAC CA-18 Mustang Jersey Jerk from Fighter Aviation Engineering Limited, Cavalier F-51D Mustang Miss Rebel from Biltema Warbirds, and North American P-51D Mustang Moonbeam McSwine from the Biggin Hill Heritage Hangar. The display saw Jersey Jerk and Miss Rebel fly in formation, and performing a tail chase whilst Moonbeam McSwine put on an aerobatic routine. Naval aviation was represented with the rare pairing of the Canadian Vickers PBV-1A Canto A from Plain Sailing and the Fairy Swordfish Mark I from the Navy Wings Heritage Flight. The two flew a single formation flypast before performing their own consecutive solo displays. Jet power was also showcased at the show with the return of Mistral Warbirds' Canadair CL-13B Sabre Mark VI, which was joined by the Norwegian Air Force Historical Squadron's de Havilland DH-100 Vampire FB-52. The pair performed two flypasts together prior to flying their own solo routines. Next came the Duxford-based display team, the Flying Comrades. With their combination of a Yakolev Yak-18T and a pair of Yakolev Yak-52s, the team performs an exciting display with various formations and aerobatics. The penultimate display came in the form of the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight's Avro Lancaster B-1, which put on a very entertaining and emotive display. This performance was further enhanced due to the gathering mass of Spitfires and Hurricanes preparing to take off for the grand finale. The traditional finale of the Battle of Britain air shows is the Duxford Big Wing, which sees a mass formation, or Balbo, of Spitfires and Hurricanes. This year saw a total of 22 aircraft taking part, which featured 15 Spitfires and 7 Hurricanes. Whilst the aircraft formed up, the aircraft restoration company's Hispano-Buchon played the role of the Joker with an excellent solo display. The formation was truly incredible to witness as it made its first pass. The Buchon then came back before smaller sections of the formation came back for another flypast. The air was filled with Spitfires and Hurricanes as they peeled off from their groups and came in to land. The aircraft featured in the set piece were as follows: a pair of Spitfire T9s from Aero Legends, a pair of Spitfire T9s and a PR-11 from the Aircraft Restoration Company, a Hurricane Mark 10 from the Biggin Hill Heritage Hangar, a Spitfire LF-16E from Biltema Warbirds, a Hurricane Mark 1 from Bygone Aviation Limited, a pair of Spitfire Mark 1As, an LF-5C and an LF-9E from Comanche Fighters LLC, a Spitfire FR-14E, Spitfire LF-5C and a Hurricane Mark 1 from Fighter Aviation Engineering Limited, a Spitfire LF-5B from the Fighter Collection, a Hurricane Mark 12A from the Historic Aircraft Collection, a Hurricane Mark 1 from Hurricane 501, a Hurricane Mark 1 and Mark 2B from Hurricane Heritage, a Spitfire Mark 1A from Imperial War Museum, and Spitfire LF-9B from the Old Flying Machine Company. In conclusion, the Duxford Battle of Britain Airshow 2025 was an unforgettable experience, and I would highly recommend it for anyone who is a fan of vintage warbirds or who misses the Flying Legends events that were once held at Duxford. The obvious highlights for me were the Duxford Big Wing and the gathering of 8 Orca Hurricanes. I also enjoyed getting the chance to see the Boomerang replica again, as well as the classic jet pairing of Sabre and Vampire, and it was also excellent to finally see an A26 in the air. If you wish to see more of my photos from this event and others, I have linked my Flickr page in the description below. My next show will be the Shuttleworth Race Day Airshow, which is the final airshow of the UK season. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and I hope you join me in the next one. Bye!